In this section, we're going to look at excitable tissues. And these are going to include nervous and muscular tissue. So our first objective here is to explain what distinguishes excitable tissues from other tissues. So let's define excitability. This is the ability to respond to stimuli by changing membrane potential. So this ability is developed to the highest degree in those two tissues, in nervous and muscular tissue. So what is membrane potential? Okay. So membrane potential is when you have an electric charge difference or a voltage that occurs across the cell membrane. And here you're going to have a greater negative charge inside the cell and a greater positive charge outside the cell. This membrane potential is created by special proteins in the membrane that pump out positive charges, more positive charges, and then you're going to have an overall negative charge inside the cell. So you have this difference, more negative inside, more positive outside. There's your membrane potential, your voltage. In nerve cells, changes in the voltage result in rapid transmission of a signal along the cell. And in muscle cells, the voltage is going to result in a shortening of the cell, so the cell gets shorter or contracts. So we're now going to look at nervous tissue. Here we're going to name the cell types that compose nervous tissue. And so what is nervous tissue? This is going to be specialized for communication by electrical and chemical signals. It consists of neurons, which are the nerve cells. These nerve cells receive or detect stimulus or stimuli, and then they're going to respond quickly and transmit coded information rapidly to other cells, maybe other nerve cells or to muscles or to glands, but they basically are communicating or are involved in communication. And then we have these support cells called NeuroGlia. They're going to protect and assist the neurons. They're the housekeepers of the nervous system. And they're going to be more numerous than the neurons themselves, or the nerve cells. So now we're going to look at the parts of the nerve cell. And so our objective is to identify the major parts of the nerve cell and to visually recognize nervous tissue from specimens and photographs. So we have a diagram there on the right of nervous tissue with a typical multipolar neuron has many extensions coming out of the cell body, but let's take a look here at what the notes say. So the body of the cell, soma means body, so neurosoma is going to be nerve cell body when we translate that. This is going to house the nucleus and other organelles. So that's right here, that'll be this part right here, that's the neurosoma right there. And the nucleus helps control the protein synthesis. So control over protein synthesis occurs with the neurosoma. Then we have the dendrites. These are going to be multiple short branched processes. So this is pointing at some of the dendrites. They're here and right here and right here. All of these short extensions are the dendrites. They're going to receive signals from the cell and transmit message to the neurosoma. So basically, information or nerve signals will come in through a dendrite and go into the neurosoma. Then from there, they're going to go through a long extension called the axon. So there's your axon there. So what is an axon? This is what we also call that a nerve fiber. This extension of the neuron is going to send outgoing signals to other cells, and these can be more than a meter long. So now we're going to look at well, let's go back real quick. The support cells are also here, the glial cells or the neuroglia. So these are neuroglial or glial cells or neuroglia. So now we'll do muscles. Okay, so here we got muscle tissue. Let's look at the objectives first. We're going to name 3 kinds of muscle tissue and describe the difference between them. And then visually identify any type of muscle tissue from specimens or photographs, which you already had to do in the lab. So what is muscle tissue? It's going to be elongated cells that are specialized to contract in response to stimulation. Okay? So they get stimulated and they then contract. Their primary job is going to be to exert a physical force on other tissues or organs. For example, when they exert force on bones and the bones move. This is going to basically create movements in the body and limbs. It's going to help with digestion. It's going to help with eliminating waste. We wouldn't be able to breathe without muscle. We wouldn't be able to talk. And of course, our heart pumps blood through our body, which is made of muscle tissue as well. And our muscle tissue is an important source of body heat because as these muscles contract, they do generate heat. There's going to be 3 muscle cell types. We're going to see skeletal, which we're able to control, and then we have these 2 here, which are involuntary. We don't think about them, they contract on their own. This is cardiac and smooth muscle. So let's take a look at skeletal muscle first. We have an actual photo on the left under a microscope, and then on the right is more of a diagram here. Skeletal muscles are made of long cells, and they are multi-nucleated, which means each cell or a long muscle fiber here is going to have several nuclei, but they're going to be out towards the outside or the peripheral of the muscle fiber or the cell. You're going to have this banding pattern or these striations that you see here, and so it's really easy to recognize skeletal muscle. Let's look at what the slide itself says, just to make sure we cover everything. So it's made of muscle fibers, which are the cells. They're very long. Most muscle cells are going to attach to bone. They're going to contain multiple nuclei, which you mentioned a while ago, and they're going to have the striping pattern called striations, which alternate dark and light bands, and they are voluntary, so we're able to think about moving our arms. So again, be familiar with these structures, both for lecture and lab. Nuclei, the striations, and the entire structure from here to here is considered a muscle fiber. It's a long muscle cell. Then we have cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle, there's a picture here on the left, and then a diagram labeling what we see on the right. The diagram more idealized, highlighting some of the things you should be able to see in a real specimen, like on the left. There's going to be these dark, thicker structures called intercalated discs, and they kind of mark off the ends of these muscle cells. So these muscle cells, cardiac muscle cells, or cardiocytes or myocytes, they're called. They are shorter than skeletal muscle fibers. They are striated. They're going to have a single individual nucleus. So right here we have probably an individual cardiocyte right here that I outlined. And there's your central nucleus there. It's going to have some energy storage there. There's some glycogen stored in there. And it's going to have some striations as well. You should be able to recognize these intercalated discs. These intercalated discs help hold adjacent muscle cells together. And they also allow for communication. There's these holes in the intercalated discs called gap junctions that allow information to move between the cells. So if this muscle cell contracts, the one right next to it will contract immediately along with it. This type of muscle, let's go through the notes here, is going to be limited to the heart. Again, the special cells are called myocytes or cardiocytes, same thing. They're branched. They're shorter than skeletal muscle fibers. They contain one centrally located nucleus. I mentioned the intercalated discs. We saw those earlier. These are going to join cardiocytes, and they provide a mechanical connection. Like I said, they help hold together. And they allow for the electrical information that causes contraction to rapidly spread through or between the cells. They are striated, but they are involuntary, which means we cannot think for our heart muscle to contract and pump blood. It's done automatically. And then we have, let's go back here, we skipped. Let's go back to smooth muscle here. Smooth muscle is the third kind of muscle. The cells are going to be shorter and they're going to be fusiform. Remember, fusiform is tapered on both ends. You have a large nucleus there, so you can see I'm kind of outlining a fusiform shaped cell right there, and others. And then on the right, it's a diagram of what we see on the left. You can see the nuclei and the individual muscle cells or muscle fibers. So it's going to be made of these fusiform myocytes lacking striations. So there's going to be no striations. The cells are relatively short and have one central nucleus. They're involuntary, and most is going to be the visceral muscle, which the visceral muscle is going to be the organs, internal organs. So they make up parts of the walls of hollow organs, like your stomach and your large intestine. You can find them in blood vessels like arteries.